January 30th, 2000. Georgia Dome, Atlanta. Kurt Warner stood on the biggest stage in sports, holding the Lombardi Trophy, with tears streaming down his face. Super Bowl MVP. The fairy tale was complete, except 5 years earlier, he was stocking shelves at a Hy-Vee grocery store in Iowa for $5.50 an hour. This is not some Hollywood script. This actually happened. A guy who could not make an NFL roster became a two-time league MVP and Hall of Famer. And the wildest part, he did it twice. 2 different teams, 2 Super Bowl runs. At age 37, when everyone said he was done, he nearly did it again. So how does someone go from scanning groceries to Super Bowl MVP? How does belief survive 5 years of rejection? And what does it take to prove everyone wrong not once but twice? Kurt Warner was born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, in 1971. He came from a working-class family, nothing fancy. No football bloodline, no prep school pedigree, just a kid from the Midwest who loved throwing a football. He went to the University of Northern Iowa, a Division I AA school that nobody confused with Notre Dame or USC. For 3 years, he sat on the bench behind a future Arena League quarterback. Think about that. He was not even the best quarterback at a small school. His senior year, in 1993, he finally got his shot. He led Northern Iowa to the Gateway Conference Championship, and he put up decent numbers. But when the 1994 NFL Draft came around, his name was not called. Not in the first round, not in the 7th round, not at all. The Cedar Falls Register wrote that Warner had NFL tools, but a small school stigma. That his newspaper Speak for Nobody is taking a chance on this guy. But the Green Bay Packers invited him to training camp as an undrafted free agent. Warner packed his bags thinking this was it, his chance. He would compete, show them what he could do, maybe sneak onto the roster as a third stringer behind Brett Favre. They cut him before the season started. Didn't even make it to September. Behind Favre, Mark Brunell, and Ty Detmer, there just wasn't room. Warner went back to Cedar Falls with nothing. No contract, no prospects, no plan B. So he took a job at the Hy-Vee grocery store. Night shift, stocking shelves, scanning items, making minimum wage, $5.50 an hour. He'd work overnights, come home exhausted, and watch football on Sundays. He watched guys he'd played against in college making millions while he was pricing cereal boxes. He later said, "I'd see people I played against on Sundays, then stock their groceries on Mondays." That's not poetic exaggeration. That literally happened. College teammates would come through his checkout line, and he'd scan their groceries. Their groceries. Can you imagine that feeling? The weight of watching your dream on TV while you are wearing a name tag. But here's where Warner's story gets interesting, and it is not about football. In 1995, while still working at Hy-Vee, he met Brenda at a country western bar. She was a divorced single mom with 2 kids. One of them, Zachary, had been dropped by her ex-husband as a baby and suffered brain damage. Warner told her on their first date that he would play in the NFL someday. She later said, she thought, "Sure, honey." But he believed it. Most guys would have walked away. Brenda came with complications, responsibilities, a life that did not include chasing football dreams. Warner married her in 1997 and adopted her 2 kids. He worked at Hy-Vee during the week and played arena football on weekends. In 1995, Warner signed with the Iowa Barnstormers. Arena football was indoor football, played on a 50-yard field, with nets for walls, a kind of glorified pinball. It paid basically nothing, but it was football. And he was incredible. He led the Barnstormers to Arena Bowl appearances, and he put up video game numbers. He was in a league nobody took seriously. He was still stocking shelves during off-seasons. Here's what nobody talks about, though. Those arena football years were not wasted time. They were building his confidence. Every week he was throwing touchdowns, winning games, proving to himself that he could play, even if the rest of the world was not watching. In 1998, the St. Louis Rams noticed. They assigned him to NFL Europe, a spring developmental league for guys who were not quite ready. Warner went to Amsterdam, played for the Admirals, and dominated the league. The Rams brought him back as their third-string quarterback, behind Tony Banks and Trent Green. Third string, age 27. Most quarterbacks are established starters by 27. Warner was carrying a clipboard, hoping for practice reps. The 1998 season came and went. He barely saw the field. The Rams signed Trent Green to a big contract in 1999. Green was the future. Warner was insurance. Then August 28th, 1999 happened. A preseason game. Rams versus Chargers. In the third quarter, Trent Green dropped back, got hit, his knee buckled. An ACL tear. The season was over. Just like that, Kurt Warner was the starting quarterback of an NFL team at age 27, 5 years after bagging Groceries. The media asked, who is Kurt Warner? Dick Vermeil, the Rams coach, told reporters, he is going to shock the world. Nobody believed him. How could they? This was not how stories worked. You do not go from arena football to NFL starter and succeed. The Rams were supposed to be contenders. Now they had a guy who had been stocking Groceries 5 years ago. On September 12th, 1999, the season opener. The Rams versus the Baltimore Ravens at the TWA Dome in St. Louis. Warner's first NFL start. He completed 22 of 30 passes for 309 yards and 3 touchdowns. No interceptions. The Rams won 27-10. His first NFL touchdown pass was a 41-yarder to Az-Zahir Hakim. After the game, Warner was calm, almost eerily calm, like he had expected this, which in a weird way he had, because he had been preparing for 5 years. Every grocery store shift, every arena football game, every moment of doubt, he had been preparing. The 1999 season was absurd. Warner threw for 4,353 yards and 41 touchdowns. The Rams went 13-3. They had Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt at receiver, Marshall Faulk at running back, Mike Martz calling plays. The offense was nicknamed Greatest because it looked like a video game, and Warner was running it perfectly. On October 24th, 1999, the Rams played the 49ers. Warner completed 20 of 23 passes, threw 5 touchdowns, and the Rams won 42-20. 5 touchdowns against a division rival. The league started paying attention. This was not a fluke. This guy could actually play. By the end of the season, Warner was the NFL most valuable player, from grocery store to most valuable player in 5 years. The Rams made it to the playoffs, won the NFC Championship, and earned a trip to Super Bowl 34 in Atlanta. Tennessee Titans were waiting. A defensive powerhouse. A team that could pressure quarterbacks and shut down offenses. The media wondered if Warner's fairy tale would end with a thud. It didn't. Super Bowl 34, January 30th, 2000. Warner threw for 414 yards and 2 touchdowns. That 414 was a Super Bowl record at the time. The game came down to the final play. The Titans had the ball at the Rams' 10-yard line with 6 seconds left. Kevin Dyson caught a slant, broke toward the end zone, and linebacker Mike Jones tackled him at the 1-yard line. 1 yard short, the Rams won 23-16. Kurt Warner was Super Bowl most valuable player. When they handed him the trophy, when the confetti fell, he did something that would define his entire career. His first words were not about himself. He said, "First, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ." Some people rolled their eyes. Some people loved it. But it was authentic. Warner was not performing. That's who he was. A guy who believed God had a plan even when he was stocking shelves at midnight. Would you have kept believing if you were in his shoes? 5 years of rejection. Watching everyone else succeed while you were scanning groceries. How do you not quit? The seasons of 2000 and 2001 brought more success. Warner led the Rams back to the Super Bowl in 2002. Super Bowl 36 against Tom Brady's Patriots. The Rams were 14-point favorites. The Patriots, they were underdogs, just like Warner had been 2 years earlier. The Patriots won 20-17. Warner threw for 365 yards, but he had 2 interceptions. One of them was a pick 6 to Ty Law that changed the game. After that loss, the narrative shifted. Suddenly, Warner had fumble issues. Ball security problems. In 2002 and 2003, the fumbles got worse. He was benched in favor of Mark Bulger. The same media that called him a miracle now called him a system quarterback, a one-hit wonder. In 2004, the Giants signed him as a backup. He barely played. Eli Manning's era was beginning. Warner sat on the bench, 33 years old, watching another team's future unfold without him. He thought about retiring. Brenda told him he still had it, but did he? Or was 1999 just lightning in a bottle? The Arizona Cardinals called in 2005. It was a 2-year deal. They wanted him as a veteran presence, a mentor for rookie Matt Leinart. Warner took it, because at least it was a job. At least he would still be in football. But by 2007, Leinart got hurt, and Warner he was the starter again, and something clicked. The old Warner, the Warner from 1999, was still there. Still. In 2008, at age 37, he led the Cardinals to a 9-7 record and a playoff berth. Arizona had not won a playoff game in 61 years. In the wildcard round, they beat the Falcons. Warner threw for 271 yards. In the divisional round, they beat the Panthers. In the NFC Championship, they hosted the Eagles. Warner threw 4 touchdowns in a 32-25 win. The Cardinals were going to the Super Bowl. It was the franchise's first Super Bowl ever. And Warner, at 37, was going back. Different team, different decade, same belief, Super Bowl 43, February 1st, 2009 in Tampa. The Cardinals faced the Pittsburgh Steelers. Warner threw for 377 yards and 3 touchdowns. With 2 minutes 37 seconds left, Larry Fitzgerald caught a 64-yard touchdown, and the Cardinals took the lead. The comeback was happening. The second fairy tale was unfolding. Comeback. Then Ben Roethlisberger drove the Steelers down the field. With 35 seconds left, Santonio Holmes made a toe-tap catch in the corner of the end zone. The Steelers won 27-23. Warner walked off the field in tears. So close. At 37, he had nearly become the oldest quarterback to win a Super Bowl. He had nearly done it again with a completely different team. But he fell one play short. So close. He played one more season in 2009 and led the Cardinals to the playoffs again. They lost to the Saints in a controversial wildcard game. After the season, he retired. His body said he could play one more year. His heart said it was time to be a dad. Do you think he made the right call? Walking away while you can still play versus risking one more shot at glory? In 2017, Kurt Warner was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. First ballot, only undrafted quarterback in the Hall. His speech lasted 22 minutes, and near the end he said something that brought the room to tears. He looked at the camera and said to every kid bagging groceries, to everyone told they are not good enough, your story is not over. Because that is what Warner's career proved. It wasn't about talent. Plenty of talented guys never made it. It was about refusing to quit when every rational person would have walked away. It was about stocking shelves at night and still believing you would throw touchdowns on Sundays. It was about marrying a woman with 2 kids and medical bills when most 25-year-olds would have run. It was about getting benched in St. Louis and finding a way back in Arizona at 37. Warner finished with 32,344 passing yards, 208 touchdowns, 2 MVP awards, and a Super Bowl ring. But here's the stat that matters most. He took 2 different franchises, the Rams and the Cardinals, to the Super Bowl. Only 5 quarterbacks in NFL history have done that. And none of them started from a grocery store. After retiring, Warner did not fade away. He and Brenda. They started the First Things First Foundation, helping families in need. They built the Treasure House, a facility for adults with developmental disabilities, named after their son, Zachary. Warner worked as an NFL analyst, stayed visible, stayed humble. In 2021, Hollywood made American Underdog, a movie about his life. Zachary Levi played Warner, and millions of people who had never heard the grocery store story learned it for the first time. The movie reminded everyone that the impossible is not actually impossible. It just requires more time than you think. Kurt Warner's story is not about football. Not really. It is about what happens when you refuse to let circumstances define you, when you are 27 years old and the world says you are too old, too small school, too late. When you get benched, cut, and forgotten, and you still show up the next day. There will never be another Kurt Warner. Not because of the stats or the Super Bowls, but because his journey cannot be replicated. You can't manufacture 5 years of rejection and grocery store shifts and arena football anonymity. You can't fake the belief it takes to keep throwing footballs into a fence when nobody's watching. Warner proved that the path to greatness doesn't always start in the spotlight. Sometimes it starts at night, under fluorescent lights, stocking shelves and wondering if anyone will ever see what you can do. They saw. Eventually, they all saw. If Kurt Warner's story moved you, hit that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late. Drop a comment telling us whose story you want to hear next. And do not forget to subscribe, because we are bringing you the stories that prove legends are not born, they are built.